Hey guys, what's going on? This is Jake here from CWC Technologies. I've owned an iPad Air 2 for a few years, and I've never really liked it, and I honestly haven't even used it that much. I do live streaming for mobile esports, and as the name implies, it's esports on your mobile device. And that's about the only time I ever used my iPad Air 2 was for things like that, and once in a while watching Netflix on it. Most of my devices I've always used have been my smartphones, such as the Galaxy Note 8 here, or my old iPhone 6s Plus, Galaxy S7, or even going all the way back to my LG G3. They were smartphones with pretty big displays. Besides the Galaxy S7, it only had a 5.1 inch, but big to some. But the tablet was always kind of unwieldy, the display wasn't great, I found it cumbersome to hold, and it was kind of difficult to get into a comfortable position with, whether I was laying on my bed or sitting in a chair using it. I just didn't like it. For me, my phone display had a big enough display, it was a great display as well. There was also something I wasn't impressed with the iPad Air 2 about either, was the display just didn't look great. It wasn't anything special, especially after having the Galaxy Note 8 here, which has just one of the best displays on the market. Still to this day, it was very comfortable to sit there and watch a video, especially with a pair of headphones on. The 6.3 inch display did a great job at that. Now, as I previously mentioned, I do live streaming for mobile esports, and the Air 2 is getting old. For basic tasks just as checking your email or watching YouTube, it performs pretty well, but trying to do some more graphical intense stuff like playing a game and doing live streaming, it was getting really sluggish and performing very poorly, which meant I needed to get a new device. So my first thought was pick up an iPhone 8 Plus, which I actually ended up doing. 16:9 aspect ratio, 1080p, that's what I stream at, so it would be perfect. Well, I did, however, the overlays don't look great on that 16:9 display when it comes to mobile stuff, which I now know. So I ended up going back and returning it and getting an iPad Pro 10.5 inch. I honestly wasn't really looking forward to getting an iPad. Well, I take that back. It wasn't that I wasn't looking forward to it, but I wasn't excited about it. It was just gonna replace my iPad Air 2 and sit on my shelf until I did a live streaming event and I would plug it in. And boy, was I wrong. I've been using the iPad Pro 10.5 inch for almost a week now, and I cannot put this device down. I love it so much. Using it is very, very enjoyable. I've been doing schoolwork on it, I've been editing photos that I've taken, I've even been editing some videos on it with LumaFusion, which is one heck of an app, and learning how to use other apps such as Affinity Photo to do even more intense photo editing on my iPad. So with all that being said, here are some reasons on why I like the iPad Pro 10.5 inch so much, and if you have an older iPad and just aren't really impressed with it, this is why you might want to consider upgrading. First thing is the display, and arguably one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, about the tablet. It has a 10.5 inch display, as the name does imply, and a resolution of 1668 by 2224, which is a pixel density of 265. It has a laminated display, which means there's no air gap between the display, so the pixels are right up there against your fingers, and it looks like you're literally interacting with them and touching each individual one. That was one thing I didn't like about the Air 2, which did not. It was just kind of like recessed in the display just a little bit. I mean, it wasn't anything too big, but it bothered me enough. This display is incredibly color accurate. It supports the P3 color gamut and looks absolutely amazing. Colors just pop off the display, and they aren't oversaturated like on some phones, such as the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. Now, personally, I like the color saturation on the Galaxy Note 8, but when it comes to video editing and photo editing, which I've been doing a lot of on my iPad, photo editing that is, a little bit of video editing, color accuracy is very, very important. The screen reaches a crazy 600 nits of brightness, and I love this. I have my screen brightness usually cranked up almost all the way. I just like having a bright screen, so that's definitely a great perk. Plus, it has True Tone, which changes the hue of the display depending on the light in your room, and it's definitely a small thing, but one that's really, really welcome, and I have been enjoying using it. And finally, Pro Motion, which is Apple's way of saying the screen refreshes up to 120 times a second, or 120 Hertz, which makes for an overall incredibly smooth looking and feeling experience. Now, what's really cool about that 120 Hertz display is iOS 11, the operating system. Well, iOS 11 on iPad incorporates so many new things, and you can check out a previous video on iOS 11 and all the features it brings. But there's a lot of new swipe gestures inside the iPad, such as swiping up to get to your dock, swiping up even a little farther to get access to your multitasking screen, pinching on the screen with 5 fingers to take you back to the home screen, and just other gestures such as bringing in multitasking from the side, which makes using iOS 11 and all of its features and tricks more enjoyable. Again, it's so smooth and natural. Now, speaking of iOS 11, iOS 11 brings many things, and these are the few things that I really enjoy. So first off is the dock. The dock is great, being able to bring in multiple different apps and put them in here. I believe it's up to 15 different apps you can have inside your dock, including folders. So I have a good amount of apps inside of my dock, which makes it really easy to use my iPad and switch between multiple different apps. Multitasking and split screen multitasking on the iPad is terrific. I was editing a thumbnail the other night for a video and wasn't quite sure what I was going to put on it, how to arrange stuff, etc. So the person I was editing the thumbnail for, I had in Twitter DMs, and I was able to edit the photo and then share it to them really easily. All I had to do is pull Twitter out from the right side of my display and I could share it to them. They'd give me their feedback and then I could swipe it away and get right back into editing the photo, which just speeds up my work and is really nice. Now, yes, I could do this on my iPad Air 2. This is true, but it wasn't smooth and it didn't work reliably. Sometimes it wouldn't pull out, sometimes the app would just freeze, and it doesn't do this on the iPad Pro. I've had almost zero stutters, navigation is incredibly smooth, and performance is insane. Editing photos is really quick. Using Lightroom on the iPad is, for certain things, even better than using it on the desktop. Now, partially because of that is just the coding. The coding is better, is newer on these iOS apps, but the A10 Fusion chip, the A10X Fusion chip, excuse me, definitely helps out with that. And playing games is an amazing experience. I've been playing a lot of Fortnite recently on my iPad, and it looks amazing. It really does. It is incredibly impressive. And I played this game on my iPad Air 2. It did not look like this at all. It was incredibly pixelated and blurry. It was a really bad experience overall on it. So I can definitely see how much of a step up it is over that. Audio on the iPad Pro is pretty great. It does have a headphone jack, which is amazing. I can't believe we have to be thankful for that on our mobile devices in this day and age, but welcome to 2018. The iPad Pro also has speakers, quad stereo speakers, and they are really good. They sound amazing. Whether you're editing a photo, watching YouTube or Netflix, talking with a friend on FaceTime, they're just great. It's so great to have on the iPad. If I cover one up with my hands, there's another one above it that's playing, and then the ones on the left side are playing, or on the right side, depending on where your hand's at. I always have a great sounding experience, whether I'm using headphones or I'm using the speakers. The final thing I want to touch on is battery life. Battery life has been pretty good as well. I'm getting consistent about 6 to 8 hours of usage with this device. Apple claims 10 hours, but I'm someone that does usually have the screen brightness set to 90 to 100% brightness, and I'm a very heavy user. So in getting that 6 to 8 hours, I've been incredibly impressed with. I also use a 12-watt Apple charger and an Anker Powerline Plus cable to charge my iPad, and it does charge decently quick. So those are my reasons on why I like the iPad Pro 10.5 inch so much, and why I'm integrating it into my day-to-day life more and more as time goes on. Can it replace a laptop? That's going to depend on you. For certain tasks, yes, it definitely can replace my laptop, but for certain things, it just cannot at all. If you have an older iPad, I would definitely recommend considering upgrading to this newer iPad, especially because there'll be new iPads coming out soon. I've seen the iPad Pro 10.5 inch go on sale. The 256 gig model, which I have, I've seen drop down $100, and it'll probably drop down even more after the new iPads come out, which means you don't have to spend an arm and a leg getting a brand new iPad. Anyways, guys, with all that being said, let me know in the comment section down below if you got an iPad, if you have one of the newer iPads, and if so, what do you like about it? If you don't have an iPad, is it because you just don't like iPads? Were you like me? Do you like having a bigger display smartphone, or just use your laptop? I'd like to hear from you guys. Also, while you're down there in the comment section, think about hitting that like button, and if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that and ring that notification bell so you get notified when we upload another video. Anyways, guys, with all that being said, this is Jake here from CWC Technologies. I'm signing out, and I'll see you guys somewhere soon on the internet. Peace.